Memphis Youth Arts Initiative presents your virtual version of our Monday Empowerment Session 101 for February the 22nd, 2021. This is our way of empowering you, our youth, to be a better leader and change your mindset. Today's topic is emotionally connecting to drugs and alcohol. How drugs and alcohol can affect you emotionally. I am your director and founder, Corey Travis, and I'll be guiding you in your session today. Have you ever thought about the effect that drugs and alcohol have on you in your emotions and in your mind? What if I, your director, started using drugs or alcohol at a very early age and got addicted? Would I be here today? Would I still be alive? Would I be the director of this great organization? Would I have had the mindset or the know-how to go to college and complete college? Would I be successful as I am today? Only God knows, but probably not. Statistics and data shows that using drugs and alcohol never turn out to anything positive. Making decisions like using drugs and alcohol can always affect you. And this is why. It says that alcohol can do these certain things, and this is what happens. 58.5% of 12th graders have tried alcohol. 6% have drove after drinking, and 16% have rode in the car of someone who has been drinking. Those statistics are dangerous, and they can put your life in danger. Don't be a statistic and don't make the choice. Marijuana use is heavy and rapid in our societies. Look at the statistics for marijuana use amongst teens and young adults. Take a look and read that. 16% of 12th graders have used marijuana in the past month. 10% of high schoolers earning A's currently use marijuana, but 48% earn D's and F's. Look at the statistics for use of prescription drugs, and that's abuse of prescription drugs. Using prescription drugs when they're not prescribed to you or they're not purposed for you to take. The effects of drug use amongst teens can cause a lot of issues. Arrest or juvenile detention, losing friendships and family, birth defects in pregnant teens, serious illnesses in industry, getting fired or problems getting hired, and suspension expulsion. Let's watch this video about addictions from a story of a man named Will, and let's see what happened in his life.
Only you to hold your own. No one there to help you. Only there to hold you down. So stop. Don't beat up yourself. 'Cause it's everyone else. So don't look down. Look up around. 'Cause you are better. I can see that when the fire gets started, it takes a lot of tears to wash away. When they come and make you feel downhearted, don't hide away. And now it's feeling like the longest day. It's getting harder to find the will to stay. You gotta find the strength inside of you, so don't hide away.
I'm really addicted to baseball. What are you addicted to? Whether it be social media, video games. See, we often use that word addicted to describe things we really, really like. So what's the harm in doing things we really like a lot? If an activity keeps you from doing the things you normally do in a day, it can become a serious and unhealthy addiction. You can become addicted to just about anything, and it can happen to any one of us, even you. It happened to me, and this is my story. from the age of 17 to 20. I was in and out of jail on a constant basis, in and out of stairwells. I would fall asleep wherever I was. Robbed, assaulted, you name it, selling drugs, selling fake drugs. All that I needed to survive was my next fix. Never in my wildest nightmare would I ever picture my life, 17 years old, living on the streets. My name is Will. I grew up a perfect, life. Not perfect, but I had the necessities that I needed, and I had great friends. I remember going on field trips often. I really enjoyed those moments, especially when the whole family got together.
Hey, seriously, that's enough! Dad! Can you please stop? Enough.
Oh, someone's in trouble.
We're really fortunate in that regards.
How do you do that? Wow.
I can even pick a card and you got it.
I had some great memories of family times, embracing the moment, and great fond memories of laughter.
No.
Oh, look at that. Move them, don't touch them, just point above. Okay. So who's No,
What are you doing? Sorry. Come on.
My problems started with addictions much before I found drugs. I was really into online gaming, and I would play at all hours of the night, all day, as soon as I get home from school. Oftentimes on the weekend, my friends would come and I would want nothing to do with them because all I wanted to do was just play my video games. I grew more attached to online gaming. I guess that constant change and that constant newness I found attractive. It had me. It was like a strong magnet I couldn't really pull myself away from,
Watch it. Watch your back. Watch your back. All right. That's good. I got him.
Gaming got in the way of school dramatically. I didn't know about addictions at all. I just thought I really liked games. When high school hit, things just got a whole lot worse. I wanted to explore new friends. Yeah. Unfortunately, the friends that I chose to hang out with were not a good influence on me at all. These guys were different. It was the different that I was looking for. So breaking the rules, skipping class, smoking cigarettes, acting careless towards life. My behavior started to change at home. It got to a point where it was very problematic for my parents. My room was a mess at all times. My self-worth was low. I was sleeping in all day and I wouldn't get out of bed unless there was weed at my high school. Once drugs came into the picture, it took me right away. I grew closer to pot, which was the only thing I knew at the time. And my behaviors just got worse. I stole my sister's bank card at one point, and she called the police once she found out.
Come on, get up, let's go.
I was arrested first time when I was 15 years old. I broke down and I started crying for the first time in a while. My sister came storming out the front door. She was crying the hardest I ever seen her cry before. She wrapped her arms around me, the hardest I've ever felt. My sister still had it in her to say, "I love you, brother, just get better." And that was the love my family always had for me, and I chose to push it away. No family member wants to put their brother or son into jail. And that was my problem. I just didn't listen. And I wish that I had listened because my issues in my life just got a whole lot worse. Everything just escalated from that point. My parents took me back in again with the problems still my behaviors, stealing from my parents. They would have to hide their purses from me. I was losing friends, close friends, good friends, my family. I wanted to get high, and my parents were completely against drugs. I wanted them to just accept it. It's a herb, it's natural, it's not that bad. I just wanted to feel good, and I didn't want to deal with responsibilities and life on life's terms. Because I would use marijuana so often, I would be completely unmotivated to do nothing else. I left my parents with little choice but to kick me out. So I resided in the shelter system for the first time. One night, I had just been kicked out of the shelter. I went down to this one park. I had 10 bucks on me. I wanted to buy a dime of weed. And I asked Buddy if he had any weed. He said, "No, I don't, but I have this." And there was crack cocaine. Immediately after I inhaled that smoke and exhaled, I was hooked instantly. Instantly. As soon as I went up and I started to come down just the slightest, the first thought that came to my mind is I need more. I need to do this again. That's when the hustle began. Stealing to eat. I would spend all my money on drugs, whatever I'd hustle up. I was 120 pounds before I knew it. Completely mentally distraught. In and out of detox centers, in and out of hospitals, crisis centers. My parents would come looking for me. Seeing me in the state that I was in, it broke their hearts. I was no longer their son and brother that they grew to know and to love. In recovery, they say there's 3 outcomes with drug addiction. Jails, institution, and death. And I had already experienced the first 2, jails and institutions. So the next one was death for me. I was court-ordered to go to Homewood. It was the first ever treatment center I completed. While I was up there, I learned to accept myself for who I am. I accepted that I am an addict. All this stuff made sense. When I started to care about myself enough to accept that I have addiction, surrender to this disease that beats me every time, that was the pivotal point for me. When I truly accepted help and was humble enough to admit, you know what? I lose every time I pick up drugs. I lose every time against this disease. So it was all about choices. Yeah, that choice that I made to try every new drug, join those group of friends out at lunchtime, start smoking cigarettes, play video games at endless hours of the night, all day, as often as I could, and not focus on my academics. The choice that I made not to seek the help that I needed. These were all choices that caused my life to become unmanageable and that spiraled me downwards into this life I never even thought existed. With every drug that you pick up, it doesn't matter what it is, you never know what's gonna happen. There's always a risk. You look at my story, I started off with pot, not thinking it's that bad, it's innocent. You're always opening that door to the potential of becoming hooked. And I go by the saying, some things in life are best left off unknown. And looking at my experiences, that drugs, it was a door that I wish that I just left closed. Addiction is going to be with me. It's going to be an ongoing battle, and I've accepted that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with having to do positive things to counteract, to fill that void. I always have that void. I got to fill it with something. And so instead of filling it with drugs or filling it with negative behaviors, I fill it with positive things. Running, I meditate. One of my first goals coming into recovery was going back and get my GED, which is the equivalency of high school. And now I'm going to real estate college. I want to be that voice that's going to inform that student to stop him from hitting that hellhole that I hit myself.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today.
And that you don't have to go through that, man, because I went through it, and here I am telling you this is where it's going to get you. I had this one particular stairwell that I spent a lot of low moments, and I signed my name, Will. And I went back there when I made positive change in my life, and I had a mark on my hand instead of a pipe. And I added on to the end of my name, ING, underneath that the number 2, and underneath that CHANGE. So willing to change. And that's just it for me today.
I know Will says, like, in the video that some things are better off unknown, but that's also really hard for, like, teenagers. Like, how could they just go not knowing what it's like? They want to know. Like, it's hard that way.
He had a normal upbringing and everything. Like, it could happen to any of us.
It's so easy for people to get into it. It's not that big bad thing anymore. It's just something that friends get along and get together and they do, and it doesn't seem like it could lead to something so harmful, really.
How does it make you feel knowing that, like, you guys, any of you could easily get that addicted to something unknowingly, just by trying a video game, by trying it one time?
If you like go on the news and then you see all these celebrities and it's like, oh, like if they're doing it, it must be okay for me too, because a lot of those people become like younger kids, like role models.
Everything seems so good for them, so we can think maybe that's why, maybe that's the answer. I also think back to like 6th and 5th grade when they teach you about, they say like no drugs, and it's seen in such a, like, it's like the kiddie education that no one should listen to it.
I remember my teacher saying, like, if you do drugs, you'll die, like, smoke weed, you'll die. But then now I see that no one's dying, so, like, they're wrong. It's, like, makes me want to do it even more.
Yeah, like, I know people who said, oh, they would never smoke or, like, do drugs and stuff like that, like, years ago, and then you see them now and they're doing it, and it's like, oh, like, what happened to that?
That's kind of scary. Like, sometimes I wonder if in a few years I'll think differently, because right now I'm so against it, but people change so much, you never know.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I'm ever gonna try that.
There are plenty of people I know who use drugs or smoke, and they're kind people, they're smart, they have lots of potential. I think it's a matter of just knowing where that line is, and when you cross the line of when you're at the point where it's no longer in your control and it's like taking over your life, that's when I think the person should really start trying to like seek help.
They might not think they need help, or they might not know who to go to, and if they don't show signs that they're going through something like this, like, people can't help them because they don't know.
The way I see it, it's honestly a matter of luck. If you bump into something where it's either a person or an activity, like something that influences you to turn around, because when you're being sent this message that this is a normal lifestyle, then it's so hard to get out of it. Also, I think there's so much stress coming from like high school, and no one ever tells you how to deal with that stress. But you see people, they'll be getting high and they say, yeah, well, it reduces my stress level. So you're inclined to sort of also take that path. Like Will said, like he meditates and he runs. Those are other ways to feel more calm.
There's such a mentality now, like the YOLO mentality,
Oh my God.
Like just like, why not? You're in high school, nothing really matters, just do it. I think that the message that's important to send though is like, there are other things to go YOLO with, and like that won't have that risk of going into a really, really low place.
All right, let's get into this. It's important to know what addiction really means, especially once we come to recognize it in ourselves and in someone we know. Addiction is an uncontrollable craving or a strong physical and emotional pull towards something, someone, or some activity. You can literally be addicted to almost anything. Addiction makes you believe you actually need whatever you're addicted to to feel normal or even comfortable. This happens because your brain is always searching for ways to increase pleasure and reward and decrease threat and pain. So where does this all happen in the brain? This is the pleasure center of your brain. This is a part of your brain that helps you with decision-making, planning, and inhibition. This is associated with emotion and the part of your brain responsible for keeping you out of danger. One of the ways these three areas transmit messages is by a chemical called dopamine. Every time you feel good about something and you get super excited, the dopamine circuitry in your brain really lights up with a big bang. And when the opposite happens, dopamine activity in your brain drops off. The problem with addictive substances and activities is they can get your brain to light up big time, leading to an increased activation of its pleasure centers, even though it's destroying your brain and body. Want to test this? Try disconnecting from the internet or the smartphone for 2 days. Another risk factor for addiction is simply being a teenager. You're more susceptible to becoming addicted and to the damage caused by various addictive substances. The good news is, I'm going to share with you 4 things you can do to develop a brain that can increase dopamine levels naturally. Invest your time and energy in bonding with people you love and trust, the people who truly want the best for you and your life. If you're struggling to cope with stressors and challenges, ask for help. Don't let depression and anxiety go on without any guidance. Discover tasks that you are motivated to do and set goals for accomplishing them. Finally, and certainly not least, realize and understand your purpose, your values, attitudes. You have something incredible to offer this world. Don't let influences distract you from your true potential. With that in mind, let's keep growing. I'm Dr. K.
As you can see, it isn't hard to develop a dangerous addiction from something that seems so innocent at first. Addiction isolated me. It took me away from the things I really loved, like my family and baseball. If you feel like you are no longer in control, talk to somebody about it. Don't push it off. Secrecy is the greatest power addiction has over you, and the best way to beat it is to break the silence.
Now that you've watched this video, there's a special surprise. I have a quiz for you to take, and you must take this quiz. Everyone who takes this quiz and answers all of the questions and submits the online form will be able to attend a special NYAI surprise party on this party. You cannot attend Monday unless you have watched the video and answered all of the correct questions on the form correctly. I will go through these forms and make sure I make a list of who has answered them correctly. Here's how you get to the quiz. I sent the text out of the link. You click the link in the text message like you seen just a minute on the video. Go through, answer all the questions. Once you answer all the questions, put your name in the form and press submit. You can do it from a tablet, laptop, or your cell phone. You do not have to have it done tonight, but you cannot go to the party if you have not completed this task by Friday. This Friday. The party will be, the information for the party will be given to you once you finish this form. I will personally give you the information for the party once you finish this form and submit it, and your answers are correct. Thank you all and have a great night.